Today, we are going to be putting a bunch of different vehicles to the ultimate test to see which one of them is truly the best vehicle to cross through water with in GTA 5 Online. I know a lot of people love to drive through water with their huge trucks and stuff like that in real life and in the game, so we're going to be seeing which one is truly the best to do that with. I hope you enjoy the video. Before we get it started, be sure to check out Digazani if you guys do need any money in GTA 5 and get 10% off by using code Frolickz. Go and enter the giveaway I'm doing on my Twitter for a chance to win $30 million for your platform. The link is down below in the description. By the way, in this video, I will not be using vehicles like, for instance, the Liberator, the Marshall Monster Truck, any vehicles that can drive on top of water or through water because that would just be unfair. We're going to be using all of the street legal vehicles that you would be seeing driving around on the roads in real life in this test. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment down below which vehicle you think will win. And without further ado, let's get this test started. First things first, these are the 11 vehicles that I have selected for this test. Comment which one you guys think is going to win down below in the comment section. The first test we're going to perform is a simple one, starting here, going across the river, coming back, there's the finish line. Let's see if any of the vehicles will fail on this super simple test. The first vehicle up to the line is going to be the Brawler. This is a pretty good off-roading vehicle and I've used it before to drive through water. I don't think it's going to be too much of a challenge for this vehicle to actually get through. As you guys can see, it seemed to perform pretty damn well. So the Brawler is definitely going to make it over to round 2. The next vehicle up to the line is going to be the Yosemite Rancher. I honestly thought this vehicle would perform a lot better in this test, but sadly it didn't even make it through the very first run, which is a total shame. So it looks like the Yosemite Rancher is not going to be moving on to round number 2. Next up to the line is going to be the Free Crawler, another amazing off-road vehicle, and it doesn't seem to have any trouble going through the very first round of this test. Not really too surprised, it's a pretty good off-road vehicle, so I'd assume it'd be good in this test, and it looks like it's going to make it to round 2. Next up to the line is going to be the Evron, another great vehicle to use in GTA 5, and it doesn't seem to have too much trouble with this test either, so it looks like the Evron is going to be moving on to round 2 as well. The next vehicle up to the line is the Dubsta 6x6, another pretty decent contender in this test, and it seems to do pretty decent in this first round. The only downside I saw is the handling is not too great on this vehicle. It takes a little bit of time to turn. It doesn't really have the best turning ability. It doesn't really turn on a dime like a lot of the other vehicles, but it still does pass round 1, and it'll move on to round number 2. The next vehicle up to the line is going to be the Caracara 4x4, one of my favorite off-roading trucks in GTA 5, and it seems to perform pretty decent on this first round, but in all honesty, the first round is pretty easy, and most vehicles should be able to pass through it. Just like this one, it'll make it to round number 2. The next contender in this test is going to be the Insurgent, and this by far is one of the best ones I've tested so far. It flies right through round 1, and it's pretty damn obvious that it's going to be moving on to round 2 as well. Next up to the line is going to be the Camacho, hands down my favorite off-roading vehicle in GTA 5 Online, and it easily passes right through this test as well, and is also going to be moving on to round number 2. Next up is going to be the Helion, another pretty awesome looking vehicle. I did actually worry a little bit that this wasn't going to make it through since there's no hood on it and the exhaust pipes are literally inside the engine bay, so I did not think it was actually going to pass it, but it did, and it'll be moving on to round 2 as well. Next up is the Riata, one of the most customizable trucks in GTA 5 Online, and it does do pretty damn well in this test as well, so that means it'll be moving on to round number 2 along with practically every other vehicle. And finally, the last vehicle in round 1 of this test is going to be the Sand King XL, another amazing off-roading vehicle with a huge ground clearance, so it's pretty obvious that it'll be making it over to round 2 as well, and that will wrap up round 1 with only the Yosemite Rancher being eliminated. Now it's time for round number 2. I'm not even going to bother to show you this because every single vehicle passed it, and I'm not going to try to make this video extremely long, so let's move on to round 3. Every single vehicle moved on. Round 3 is hands down the hardest test. The water is extremely deep and every vehicle will be fully submerged underwater. Comment down below which one you guys think will end up winning in the end, and we're going to do one last challenge at the end comparing the vehicles that actually pass through round 3 to see which one is truly the best vehicle to go through water. So the first vehicle to try out round number 3 is going to be the Evron, and this vehicle absolutely slaps round 3. You guys can see it's fully submerged underwater, makes it all the way to the end of the testing track, and will actually go on to the challenge to see which one is truly the best. The Evron passed the test. Our next contender is the Caracara 4x4. Let's see how it performs in this final test. It seems to be doing pretty decent, and then right here is where it falls off, slows down, and completely dies, and it does not pass the test and will not move on to the final challenge. Next up to the line is going to be the Brawler, another amazing off-roading vehicle. Let's see how it performs in this final test. It seems to be doing pretty decent, and one thing with the Brawler, one great part about it when it drives through water is the fact that the front end pops up so the engine can stay out of the water, but sadly it does not pass through this test and gets stuck right around where the Caracara does, so it will not move on to the final challenge. Next up to the line is the Free Crawler, another amazing off-roading vehicle, and it seems to do pretty well right off the start, and then in a little bit it gets stuck, and it actually comes in last place out of the vehicles we've tested and will not move on to the final challenge. Next up to the line is going to be the Dubsta 6x6, another pretty damn good off-roading vehicle, and it seems to do well at the start like all the other vehicles do, and then once it hits this point when it's submerged underwater, that's when it really gets hard, and it does not end up passing round 3 and will not move on to the final challenge. The next vehicle is the Sand King XL, and it's a pretty damn good truck, and I have high hopes for it, and it did end up passing through round number 3. It just flew right through it because of that ground clearance it has, and will be moving on to the final challenge. Next up to the line is going to be the Camacho, another amazing off-roading vehicle, which I did have high hopes for, and I would have to say it did make it, but sadly it died out right at the point where it would actually win, but it didn't, and that kind of sucks, so I'm going to have to say the Camacho will not be moving on to the final challenge. The next vehicle up to the line is going to be the Helion, another amazing vehicle. And in all honesty, I don't think this one is actually going to win when I was recording it, and it didn't. It just got completely submerged extremely early and is in dead last place out of all of the vehicles we've tested so far. The next vehicle we're testing is the Vapid Riata, another amazing off-roading vehicle, and it actually does end up making it to the next round. It flies right through round 3 with no issues whatsoever and will be going on to the final challenge. The final vehicle we're testing for round number 3 is going to be the Insurgent, which absolutely demolishes round number 3. Compared to every other vehicle, this one looked like it had the least trouble whatsoever, and will be moving on to the final challenge. Moving on to the final challenge will be the Sand King XL, the Riata, the Evron, and the Insurgent. So the final challenge to determine the best vehicle to cross over water with in GTA 5 Online will be determined like this. They will all start at that point on the map, and they will make their way over to this point right here, and whichever one makes it there first will be crowned the winner for the best vehicle to cross over water in GTA 5 Online. Comment down below which one you think will win, and without further ado, let's get the final challenge started. All 4 vehicles will start off at the exact same time, and the Insurgent takes a little bit of a lead at the start and seems to hold that lead all the way through this final challenge, coming out in first place with the Evron in a close second and the Riata and the Sand King practically tying. So I guess that settles it. The Insurgent is hands down the best vehicle to cross through water with in GTA 5. Does that mean those other 3 vehicles aren't good? No. They are still really good vehicles along with all the other vehicles in this video, but for this test specifically, the Insurgent comes out on top. The best part is about the insurgent being number one is if somebody else is chasing you while you're driving down the streets, you can just go and drive into some water and get the hell out of there, and they'll probably end up destroying their vehicle, but by the time they do that, you'll be long gone because this thing flies through the water. If I did miss any vehicles, be sure to comment them down below and drop a like on the video, and then I'll maybe make a part 2 to this comparing some of the vehicles that I missed out on compared to the insurgent to see if any of them can actually beat them. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, be sure to smash a massive thumbs up on the video, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next video.